Hello, hello. All right, so it's been a while. Hopefully everybody had a really wonderful Christmas or holiday, whatever it is that you guys celebrate. I hope that it was wonderful, and I am happy to be back on here. So I'm going to kind of hang out for a second and let people hop on. Make sure to share this. I think this is a really cool topic. I was away with my husband, as many of you know, for our anniversary. And, you know, if I'm in the shower, if I'm taking a walk, whatever, I think of stuff all the time that I'm like, that would be a really good topic to talk to people about. And I think this is a really interesting topic because it's not one, look, I can't, from the camera, I can't see, it's like the opposite. Okay, so it's interesting because the topic we're going to talk about is unfortunate, but it's very true. And the worst part about it is it's not allowed at all, okay? And so we're going to really go into depth on a lot of this. So that you can understand and so that you can know what to do and not accept the fact that, you know, where you live is going to impact that. Even though it does in some situations, in certain areas, and there's things that are just not able to be provided, but it's still not allowed, it's still wrong, and it's still not abiding by idea. Okay? So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks, the IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. So if you are new to catching me live, that's the first through third time. So you only get 3 tries to be new. Post a 1 below so we can get to know you, post where you're from. And if you haven't joined the group, you just go to Autism Mama Rocks, the IEP group in the search bar and join the group. And you're good to go. You can get, over on the group, you get lots of help. People post all kinds of different things on there to get advice and see what's going on and just to have support. And then we also do a Q&A over there. Okay, so for those of you who are not new anymore, you guys know what to do. Post a 2 below for my oldies and goodies. Okay, so 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. You only get 3 tries, so you might as well post a 1 and tell me where you're from. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, and make sure to share this. I think this is going to be a really interesting topic. I'm going to try not to really talk for a long time, okay? I'm going to try to keep this at 30 minutes. Let's see. You guys can test me, I'm not sure, but we're going to try. All right, so let's start with, let's start with city, okay? So today's topic is how where you live can impact your child's education. All right, so with a lot of clients that I work with or people that I talk to, like on here or on my group, people have said, well, in my area, they don't offer that. All right, so as I'm away with my husband on our anniversary, we were walking and I was like, oh my God, because we were in a small town, we were in Luray. And we went to Luray Caverns and stuff like that. Now, is it my kind of town? No. But if I like to hike and stuff like that, we couldn't because it had snowed. But it was such a small town and it reminded me of this topic. I was like, oh my gosh, I should do a topic on where people live because the first thing that crossed my mind is, what the heck do they offer here? What could they possibly offer here? And so it's Shenandoah Mountains, Shenandoah National Park area, okay? Hi, Christina and Kim and Lori and Missy, welcome. We have Jan and Catherine and Aaron and Becca. Welcome, Fort Myers, Florida. Awesome. That's right near Naples. That's where my aunt lives. I love Florida. In the next probably 3-4 years, we're going to head to Sarasota area. That's really where I'm wanting to head. So I love the west coast of Florida. All right, but I'm waiting for Sky to be done with school because Florida's special education system isn't, whose is, Hi, Lindsay, how are you? Okay, so let's start with city. So cities are big, right? So they offer the most. Okay. Cities have everything. All right. You have your BCBAs and your psychologists. And, for those, who are maybe in smaller suburbs, or small towns or country and so forth, they'll drive to the city to take their children to maybe the best doctors and the best places, because that's what cities are all about, is, that's where a lot of good doctors are, and that's where a lot of good psychologists are. That's where a lot of, people just are. Okay. So there's a lot in a city that is offered. All right. You're never going to go without in a city if you know how to get it. All right. Now, that's the positive thing, is there's all of the different things that you can get. You got ABA therapy, you got speech therapy, OT. I mean, it's so huge in the amount that you can get. Okay. And that is outside therapy, or what the school can provide, because they can contract out. Now, with a city, on the negative side, is cities have money. Most cities do. So what comes with that is a lot of school systems think they're bigger and better and kind of untouchable. A good city to tell you to stay away from is LA. LAUSD is the worst. Okay. They're one of the biggest cities, as you know, and they think they are untouchable, and they think that they can just do whatever they want and not provide what's needed and appropriate for children. And again, I'm not talking all the time. I'm talking most of the time. And with as many IEPs I've done in California, it's insane. And it's unfortunate. So you have the pros of there's so much that you can get. The negative is they will fight you because they think that you can't do anything about it. Okay? So let's move on to suburbs. So we'll kind of go in order. Suburbs, that's where I live. That's where a lot of people live. Same thing pretty much as a city, because you're right outside of a city. And you don't have the huge amount of things that a city has, but you have quite a bit. And if not, you're right near a city to where it's not that big of a deal. Or if the school system needed to contract out, we're talking maybe a 30, 45-minute time frame. So it's a lot more accessible. Okay. So suburbs are very positive because of that aspect. On the negative side, it's really just a general, most of them are not where the big cities are, like, we're untouchable, you can't do anything to us, it doesn't matter what you say kind of attitude. But suburbs will play the games, and they will, test the waters, so to speak, as to how much knowledge do you know, to where they can manipulate and steer you in a different direction as to the opposite direction of what you're wanting, convincing you that it's something that's not able to be provided, when you know good and well it is, but you kind of accept what they say because you're just not sure. Have you ever felt that way? So that's kind of where you are with suburbs, is, they'll play the games, but not so much so than cities will. All right. So let's move to small towns and the country. Those are both somewhat the same. All right. This is where a lot of people will say, well, they just don't have that here. I saw that very clearly in Luray this past weekend. And it was very surprising because they literally had nothing. And I mean, it was a chore to kind of find like a hole in the wall pizza place, or, any type of restaurant that you can choose, or at least have some options, And so that's what got me thinking about this topic, because so many of you have said, well, they just don't offer that here. They don't have it. They don't have it at all. So you understand where the school's coming from when they say, hey, we don't have this here, because you well know that they don't. Right? So what do you do about that? Because legally speaking, and I'm not an attorney, but we all know the law in regards to the federal law or IDEA, or we're learning, right? You're learning. Well, IDEA states that all children with special needs need to be provided what's needed and appropriate, no matter what it is. So if the school system themselves cannot provide it, then they have to either contract out or they have to pay for your child to go to private school. Okay? Because if they're not able to provide that child what's needed and appropriate, they're not able to provide FAPE, which is a free appropriate public education. And by law, all children are entitled to that. Not just special needs children, all children. Okay? So what do you do when they say, well, we don't have that here? You know they don't have that here. And even contracting out seems almost impossible because there's nothing around you because you live in the country or you live in a small town. What are you going to do? And I'll tell you, I've thought about this. Okay? I've been home a couple days now, 24th, 25th, 26th, 7th, 5 days. And I've thought about this. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know. You know? And so I thought about it some more and I'm like, what do you mean, Raven? You don't know? Yes, I don't know, because here's the thing is if they're unable to provide it because it's not there, all right, it's really not there, and yet they have to provide it, what happens is FAPE is not provided. It's just not. And it has led to many people who have said we've just had to accept it because this is how it is, you know? Because I'll be honest with you, what are they going to do? If you live in a small town in the country, which the country is awesome, you know? But at the same time, what are they going to do? I mean, who's gonna drive 2 hours to come and work at a school to contract out? I mean, it's one of those things where you actually have to just really look at the whole picture and call it how it is. So, you know, that's why many people who live in the country or small towns with children with special needs have to move. And, you know, that sucks, but it is what it is, guys. You know, so I think we all have to understand that where you live is going to impact you, whether it's right or wrong, which we all know it's wrong. It is what it is. So you have to understand that suburbs, big cities, all right, totally fine, all right? Even not so small towns, all right? Or like kind of the country, but you're 20 minutes from civilization, okay? That's different. But if you're just in the boonies or just in the country where 45 minutes to an hour or more to get somewhere, then it's going to be rough, all right? Because more than likely you don't have BCBAs. More than likely you don't have a plethora of speech therapists or occupational therapists or really good psychologists or school psychologists. And so that's really difficult. You know, how small towns and the country does things in the school system is very different than in other places. It's a lot more laid back. It's not as, you know, there's not as many people that can do that hands-on, possibly not as many paras in a special education classroom, but then again, possibly not as many children in the special education classroom. There's just not that ability or availability of things to be provided. All right. When I've talked to parents and said, oh yeah, we have X, Y, and Z, and they're coming from, there's nothing offered in that school system. It's shocking to them to hear, wow, you can get all that? You know, I didn't even know you could get all that. And so I'm like, yeah, and they should be providing that. But, you know, they'll go back and say, well, we literally don't have a BCBA in our town at all. Even, you know, I've taken my child 2 hours away to get evaluated, and that was hard to do, you know, and this is the things that I'm hearing when it comes to smaller towns and the country. So keeping it real, guys, you got to move. If it's about your child and about, you know, getting them the best education you can possibly give them and giving them all the opportunities to have the services, accommodations, and modifications they could possibly get, cities and the country is probably not ideal. Okay. Does that mean you have to up and move? No, but you have to make a conscious decision. It's not one of those things where I can fix it for you or somebody can fix it for you, you know? Like I said, you know, with the city, there's still negatives, you know, and we got to fight. And then with the suburbs, we still got to fight. It's more the games and the fighting. You know, it's kind of different dynamic, but at the same time, there's a plethora of opportunity. All right. Where on the other end, with the country and a small town, that opportunity is sometimes slim to none. And so you have to be able to know, it's kind of like with jobs, you know, there's more jobs in suburbs and cities than there is the country and a small town. So you have to figure out, you know, what you want to do, what's best for your family. And, you know, I told some parents that I would do a live on this, even though it's one of those things where if you're in the country or in a small town, it sucks, you know, and you're like, oh my God, I can't just up and move, you know, but there's some situations where you don't have a choice, you know, it's either you get your child a good education or you don't, and you have to make that decision, and you have to be comfortable with the decision that you make. So knowing with, you know, having the knowledge of this is what it is, and that city and that country and small towns just do not have the means to provide, that you have to then make that decision. Okay. So if you have questions on what are the issues that can come up or what are issues that people have had, please post them. I'll stay on for a little bit. I'm going to say hi to people for a few minutes, and then I'm going to talk about a couple more things in regards to academics and even behavior issues and concerns and needs and what's appropriate and how that can truly be impacted in your different areas, your city, your suburb, and your country, small town. Okay. All right. So we have, yes, you're from Rhode Island. We have Missy from Indiana and Dorothy from Aberdeen, New Jersey. New Jersey is actually a really good state for special ed, by the way. Funny because New York sucks, but New Jersey's good. Linda, hello. And Aaron. All right, make sure you guys share this, okay? Share. So does anybody have Albuquerque, New Mexico? That is a new one. Hello, Marina. How are you? And Lindsay is from Massachusetts. All right. And North Carolina, Catherine, welcome. So if you guys are just hopping on, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, okay? And post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. You guys know what to do. So make sure you say where you're from if you're new or even an oldie but goodie so that we know where you're from. And make sure if you haven't joined the group, you put in the search bar Autism Mama Rocks IEP group and join the group, okay? Jenny is from upstate New York. And all right. Welcome. All right. So let's talk really quick about the things that scare me the most, to be quite honest, in reference. We'll just start on the other end now. Hi, Mary Ellen. How are you? New Jersey. All right. And oh, Amy, you're from Maine. I want to go to Maine. I want to go to that national park. What's it called? Arcadia National Park. I want to go there so bad. Gladys, welcome. Rhode Island. I used to live in Rhode Island in Newport. My husband was military and we lived there for 2 years. With what you said, what are some of the states that you would recommend that are good states to be in for special ed? Looking to move in the future, but want to make sure a place I choose would be good. Let me just say this, okay? Denver, Colorado. Awesome. All right. So all states have their issues. All districts have their issues. Nobody's perfect, right? But the goal is to have Hawaii. Awesome. Or are you saying hi? I want to go to Hawaii. Hi, Nelda. How are you? But here's the thing, is even though we are all understanding that no one and nothing is perfect, when it comes to our kids, we want it as perfect as possible, right? We want the best for them, you know? What's irritating to me is the school systems. Did you know this? That they can use the word best, we cannot. Interesting, right? So they can say, we're trying to do what's best for your child. But we can't say, you need to do what's best for our child. All right? Because on a legal aspect in regards to IDEA, all right, and what it states, all right, is that the school system is only obligated to do what's needed and appropriate. So I'm going to give you a tip, because normally Mondays, right, are the tip of the week, all right? So let me talk about that for a second. I'll do a live on this because this is so fun to me, all right? And once you learn it, oh my God, you're going to love it, all right? And I teach it in my big course, Rock the IEP. Which, guys, I have a webinar coming up really soon. I want to say 3 weeks from now. So make sure you guys sign up. It has a cap to it of how many people can join. And I'm going to have some goodies at the end and a Q&A, a large Q&A. So you don't want to miss that. Make sure you listen to my live so that you know when it's coming, and make sure you sign up for it. But one thing that's really fun to me, and I am not perfect at it. Nobody's perfect, right? But I've gotten really, really, really good at it. All right? I want to say I'm perfect, but I'm really good, okay? So what that is instead of using, okay, I want what's best for my child, you need to do what's best for my child, how dare you not do what's best for my child, you need to teach my child, you need to do what my child has to have, you have to give my child speech, you have to give my child a one-on-one, you have to give my child OT, my child's having problems with executive functioning, my child's having trouble with working memory, you know, my child's having trouble with fine motor and writing and reading and all these things, right? Well, we're so busy talking about what's best, and the school system's like, this is great because we don't have to do that, all right? So instead, make what's best work for you. Flip it, okay? So in your mind, think, okay, what's best for my child? Make yourself a list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, instead of saying what's best for my child is for them to have occupational therapy for fine motor skills because of XYZ. All right? Instead, say what's needed and appropriate for my child right now is to have 2 times a week of OT, occupational therapy services, at 30 minutes because her or his fine motor skills are. And then make sure you read from a past evaluation, the most recent, read from the IEP, what maybe the OT has said, whatever you need to do, an outside evaluation that you've had, grab and grasp anything you can possibly get that is documented, objective data that you can use to support what you have to prove, okay? So instead of saying what's best for my child is to have occupational therapy services at 30 minutes, 2 times a week because of fine motor skills, you're saying what's needed and appropriate for my child right now is to have occupational therapy services 2 times a week at 30 minutes. And the reason why is because, and then you have that backup, all right? And then you argue that because it's needed and appropriate for my child because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's needed and appropriate for my child because of this. You're not providing my child FAPE if you're not providing this to my child because, and then support that with evidence, with objective data, all right? That's why it's so important to read and read and read and read and read your stuff, your IEPs, your evaluations, your prior written notices. They're also called notice of action. You have to know what it is. No, there's not a fee to sign up. It's free. And you have to know what you need to do. All right. You have to know what objective data is, which is solid data, solid evidence of what it is you're trying to support. All right. And I always have to support everything I say with objective data. All right. I'll give you an example. I have a student that we recently filed for mediation. All right. This is an older student, believe it or not. And, so what I do is I read a lot of case law, or I'll talk to a lot of different attorneys that I have worked with personally or am working with currently. And, I really try to grasp every single part of what I can learn in regards to what I always have to do to back up what I have to say. All right. So it's kind of like if it's not in writing, it never happened. Well, if you don't have something to support what it is you say, it doesn't mean anything. All right. So going into an IEP and pointing to the IEP of things that you don't agree with, or pointing to an IEP and saying, this isn't right, you need to do this, 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 and this. And then you leave the IEP and you feel horrible because they didn't listen to you. They ignored you. They told you no to everything that you asked for. They made you feel insufficient. They made you feel whatever it is that you felt. All right. I mean, I've felt so many different ways. I could talk to you for hours about it. I've cried. I mean, crying is not even, that's nothing compared to the thing. I mean, I went through a complete depression. I felt like I was failing my kid. I felt helpless. I could go on and on. So I get it, but there has to come a point, guys, where you're just get mad. Okay. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel, that it's your fault that whatever is happening in your situation right now, and right now, a lot of things that are not so great are happening right now. And I don't want you to feel insufficient or feel like you did something wrong, because you didn't. Okay. What you don't know, you don't know. So now you know, and now you need to make change. All right. And to make change, you have to take action. And so that's what I want you to do. I want you to get your child what's needed and appropriate. I want you to get your child what's best. Okay. You just got to flip it. Change your words. Words can mean the same and lead to the same just by the way you deliver it. All right. So if you deliver something in a way to get your child what's best, but you just use different verbiage, who cares? Okay. So it was really hard for me to change. You have to do what's best for Skylar. Who wouldn't? You have to do what's best. This is what's best for my child. I mean, that's just comes natural to us as parents. You have to do what's best for my kiddo, right? Well, that's very well and good, but the school system knows that they don't have to do that. And they know that you don't know what you're talking about because you are using verbiage that they know is not appropriate in the special education setting, in the educational setting, and what they have to do and what they're required to do. So you doing that is going to automatically let them know that you don't know your stuff. Don't use it again. Okay? If you're not sure in an IEP meeting, here's another tip. All right? If you're not sure about something in an IEP meeting, say you've listened to me and you're feeling strong. I've had parents do this, okay? And you're feeling strong and you've fought for your child and you did great. And then you've come back to me and I'm super excited for you. But then there's other parents who've listened to someone and it hasn't been accurate, or you've listened to a friend and your situation wasn't the same and it didn't work out, or whatever the case may be. You don't want to go into a situation where you're sitting at the table or you're online. I always tell people to do it online, whether it's COVID or not. Just do it online, because then you can spread your stuff out. It's comfortable. You don't feel that uncomfortable feeling of being at that table with 50 million people and feeling intimidated. You're in your own home. You're able to be calm and drink some tea or something and not feel that intimidation. But don't say things you're not sure of, okay? Don't do it. If you're not sure, be quiet. All right? Let them talk. If you're in a one-party state, record that sucker. All right? and make sure, or if you're not in a one-party state, shoot, tell them you're recording, okay? If you're in a two-party state, tell them you're recording, all right? Unless they say no and you tell them you're recording, it is what it is, okay? So they have to, if you're in person and you say, hey, I'm going to record, this conversation, a lot of school systems, I know in California, they have like a 7-day, tell us 7 days in advance. School systems that actually will tell you no to recording, that's scary, okay? And that's when you want to 100% make sure you have an advocate with you or an attorney with you if you want, whatever it is, because there's a red flag. That's a red flag, all right? If they say no, all right? If you're a one-party state, just record. I wouldn't say anything. And then you just record and it is what it is, all right? So just really focus on what you have to say and make sure what you say, if you were tested, that you can back it up. If not, don't say anything. Wait, let the meeting end. Say, still fight for your child. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't say those things that you're just not sure of. If you're not 100%, don't say it. Don't ask for it. Because, for example, if you go and ask for speech or OT or whatever, and you have no objective data, you just say, well, my child needs speech, he's not talking at home. A lot of people will reference home. They don't care what's happening in your home. They don't care. Has nothing to do with the educational setting. Stop saying that, all right? If you have behavior issues at home, those behavior issues have to transfer into the school system. If your child typically has pretty outgoing, active, or more serious behavior issues, it's pretty much guaranteed it's going to be in school. Don't believe, oh, we don't see that here. We have never seen that here. Your child's a freaking angel. Never had a problem with them, and at home they're off the charts. That's not true. But if your child isn't severely impacted or have a huge behavior issue and the school system, we don't see that, then it's a little bit more believable. But stop saying what your child's doing at home. They don't care. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't, guys. And I'm not being mean. I'm just telling you the truth and letting you know that the school system does not care what your child did the night before or what your child did, at home all month. Okay? Now, letting them know what's going on, sure, that's great, but they're not going to do anything about it. Now, it's different if you want to let your child's teacher know, hey, he had a really bad night last night. This is what happened. He may be tired today at school, or, he may be triggered a little more at school or whatever, letting the teacher know that in advance. Sure. But in an IEP meeting, letting them know that your child is doing this, that, and the other, is not going to change anything. Okay? So don't think that they really care about that. They don't. Okay? Because what your child does at home is not in the educational setting. And so the only reason your child's getting special education is because something in their disability, whether it be autism or ADHD or whatever it is, has impacted them in the educational setting. That's it. Autism didn't get them an IEP. ADHD didn't get them an IEP. How ADHD and how autism affects them in the educational setting is what has impacted them enough to where they get an IEP, special education, etc. Okay? So don't forget that. I know that's a hard one for many of you. I have actually some questions I'm going to be answering tomorrow night over on the group. If you have joined my group, I ask a series of questions for when you join. And one of them is, what is the number one thing that has upset you? Or I don't remember my exact question, but it's like, what is it that's upsetting you or impacting you the most right now in your child's education or IEP? Something like that, okay? And there's so many different things that people tell me. And one lady said, I love this because I'm going to do something about this one because it was so cute. She said, do you offer IEP 101? And I thought that was great, which I do. I have a course on it. But I just thought it was great because it shows where people are like you, are vulnerable and want the help and are like, I don't know anything, please teach me. Or I just want to learn more about services and accommodations and modifications. Or she wanted IEP 101. Or, you know, there's other people that want to learn more things in reference to like getting a one-on-one or getting other things, you know, that would help their child. So tomorrow night, I will be answering questions in regards to all things IEP from you. And then I will be answering some questions from the questions I've asked over in the group, because I figure those are the things that you have asked me. So definitely put into the search bar, Autism Mama Rocks the IEP group, okay? The group has grown crazy, all right? It's been less than a year from when I opened that group, and I'm at 6,000 plus people. It's insane. I can't even like control it anymore. No, but I am strict. It has to be special education related and IEP related, school related, that sort of thing. If you want to post pictures, you know, about your child pooping or is this normal and all that stuff, there's other groups for that. Mine is education based. All right. So let's talk real quick again and recap. City, town, all right, like a suburb, country, and small town. All right, I said town like earlier. It's small town, country, city, suburb, okay? So again, your city, they think let's start with the negative, okay? So the negative is they think they're on top of the world. They don't have to do anything. They have lots of funding, and they will fight you tooth and nail to provide anything. Yet it's available. Then you have the positives of it is available, and if you know how to appropriately fight for it. I always say fight for it. You guys know that. Okay, that's what it is. All right. Advocating, whatever the heck you want to call it. It's fighting, guys. It's fighting for your child. Then you have those opportunities in a city. All right. They're there. You know it's there. It's not hard to contract out. The schools are easily able to do that, and it's not a problem at all. All right. And it's good. Okay. It's a good thing to have that available. Suburbs. Same thing as cities, guys, because they're so close to the city as well. But then a lot of, you know, good therapists and BCBAs and so on and so forth are in suburbs. All right. Right outside of the city. And the negative with suburbs is suburbs, from my experience, okay, I have just about 15 years experience, suburbs play the most games, all right? So you have your cities who are just like, nope, and that's it. It is what it is, and you got to fight. You got your suburbs, well, they'll play those like mind games, and the gaslighting happens a lot more. And it's interesting, the dynamic, you know, of how it's very different. When people listen to me, I've spoken in, you know, multiple large settings and seminars and so forth. And I say these things and people are like, what? You know, like, how do you know there's a dynamic to each setting in which somebody lives, you know? But it's true. All right. Your cities are on top of the world. They're going to be your no all the time. You got your suburb, yet they have the availability and everything there. You have your suburbs that are your game players, but have the availability too. They have the BCBAs, they have the speech, they have, you know, all those things that they can offer. They have the people, just like the cities where one-on-ones aren't as difficult and so on and so forth, okay? And then you have your small towns and country, okay? You know the dynamic there is people are nicer, all right? People are nicer, but that humble, kind, down-home kind of country feel and town where everybody knows everybody kind of thing, as nice as that is, I mean, okay, if everybody knows everybody, everybody's talking about everybody, I don't know how much I would like that, but it is nice sometimes, you know, where at least everybody can hopefully care about everybody. And then that's where it's difficult, you know, where you're like, okay, well, I need help. My child needs this. My child needs this. My child needs this. And they don't have the opportunity there. Okay. You know, there's one speech therapist in the small town. She can only serve so many people. They can't contract out with the school because they have so many people they're trying to serve just privately, you know? Same thing with country, you know? And both small town and country are far out from areas in which there is opportunity. So as nice as it is, my dad lives in the country, okay? He lives right outside of Dallas. So there's city there still, you know? So there's a difference between country where there's city there still, where there's country and you're out in the boonies. You see stars and you're not getting a speech therapist within an hour's distance, closer than an hour's distance. So that's where you're going to run into a lot of issues. You get the no, but not always the no because they want to say no. But they're going to say no and that they can't provide it because it's not there. A lot of the small towns and country, they do say the truth. They say, we don't have that here. And that's what they will say, even though that's not providing the child faith. So it is very true. Unfortunately, even though you can say, oh, well, that's not allowed. IDEA doesn't say that. IDEA says you have to provide what's needed and appropriate for my child. And it's not needed, and if it's needed and appropriate for my child to have speech and this, and this. And say your child needs all of that stuff and you live in the country or a small town. You know, it's kind of like, what are they going to do? Even though faith isn't provided, we all know that. But what are they going to do? They can't force people to move there. They can't force people to stick around or to provide what's needed and appropriate if the people aren't there. Okay? So that's when it comes down to you, and you have to make that decision. Do I move? Do I not move? And weigh the pros and cons. Okay? But I wanted you guys to know all of that because there is a dynamic of where you live, how it's going to impact you, how it's going to affect your child's special education and IEP career. And it's important to know. Whatever decision you make, it's important to know. And it's important to be knowledgeable about it. And it's important to understand the dynamics. And it's important to understand that anywhere you go, there's always going to be problems. It always is going to come down to you. All right? I could say, people have asked on here, you know, what's a good area I'm going to move? Well, I can tell you, don't go to California. That would be my first. Small towns and the country. I would stay away from there if you're really focused on special ed. Other than that, I would stay away from New York and California. Other than that, I think, and the country and a small town. A country, small town, California, New York. If you can stay away from that, I think you're going to be all right if you know how to fight for what you want. But if you have a child with special needs, you know, get the hell out of California. I mean, it's the worst of the worst, all right? New York would take the cake for second best in that area. It is, and it's crazy because what are those? What are they? The two biggest areas, right? One of the two biggest areas, two of the two biggest areas, right? So there's that negative piece there. You know, there's positives to them, but there's negatives to them. All right. And each district is different, you know, but we're talking about big city like LAUSD. Don't step foot in LA, guys. Don't do it. Or New York City. All right. For special education. Unless your child is in private school, stay the heck out. All right. You can stay in my office. All right. So yes, look out for the webinar sign up. It is free. I will be offering an amazing opportunity at the end. The webinar is educational, okay? It's the top 5 mistakes in your, what people make in their IEP plus virtual learning, okay? So it's both kind of put together, and it's a good webinar. It takes about an hour. And then I stick around for a Q&A for anybody that has questions and that sort of thing, so that you can ask away. I know I'm crazy with, questions. Like, I think the last time I stayed on for like 2 hours. Not doing that this time, but I will stay on for, a good 30 to 45 minutes to answer a good amount of questions. But usually there's a lot of people, and I can't help myself and I answer the questions. So yeah. I want to say the webinar is going to be, guys, the 19th and 20th of January is what I'm aiming for. Okay. So pick a date, and then just put it in your calendar. We'll start at 8. All right. If those dates change, I will let you know. But I will be posting something very soon in regards to that. All right. So does anybody have any last minute questions before we hop off here? Tomorrow we are going to go live over on the group. All right. And that's for the Q&A. So it will be where you guys have questions and I answer those questions. And then I also am going to be answering questions from, tomorrow's your birthday. Happy birthday. I will be answering questions from the questions that you guys have asked me when you join my group. I really should ask to move my son's IEP back. His is January 15th. What do you mean back? Yeah, I hear you, Aaron. All right. Yeah, I just addressed that, Ash, of when they say they don't see that. Go in and, I know right now it's very difficult, but go in and, observe your child. That's one of the first things I teach in my course, is you have to observe your child. I call it hunting and gathering. And I teach you how to in-depth hunt and gather. There's something wrong with that picture. Yeah, Ash. So yeah, that's another thing I want to tell you guys is over the break, you guys took my advice. I am so glad. And you did not sit on your butts and you got going and realized that in the break time, in summertime, during summertime, is the time to really get prepared. That is when you want to address things and get it all together. And, people hire advocates and so forth so they can go in gung-ho come August, September with getting their child's IEP on point. All right? You have to get it on point or it's just setting them up for failure. I cannot tell you. I say this till I'm blue in the face, how many IEPs I see on a daily basis. And I just want to get sick because they're written so poorly and the verbiage is wrong. The things that said is wrong. How they're offering your child services is wrong. How it is worded is probably not, you're missing it. Someone is getting one over on you. How it is worded, almost 90% of my IEPs that I get and I look at on a daily basis, the parents say, oh yeah, they get speech and they get OT and blah, blah, blah. And do you know, when I look at it, how it's worded is not how that parent thought it was being given. And so you've got to get your IEPs on point. You've got to get your present levels where they need to be. Yes, I am going to be putting up a sign up, okay, come the beginning of February for a course that I'm going to be offering. And no, it's not going to be a course like my big course that I teach you from literally baby, 3 years old to 21 years old, how to handle your IEP. All right. Okay, I got hair on my, okay. I got this. Okay. See how when you have black on it, it's everything always shows. It's awful. You can see my blonde hair. Okay. Y'all didn't want to see it. Okay, so you want to, granted my Rock the IEP course is great. I want you guys to get it. Everybody should get it, along with my services, accommodations, and modifications course. But I'm really excited about this course that I'm going to be offering face-to-face. And I'm taking the chance and only taking on 10 to 15 people at a time. So each month I will be offering a course come February on, here you go, baseline present levels and how to write your own goals. All right? To where you can look at a goal, say that you get a draft IEP, that you can look at a goal and you can know right away, is it written right? Which 99.9% of the time it's not. So you will then be able to, within seconds, rewrite that goal. That is my goal for each and every course that I teach. It'll be like 5-6 days. And, you know, there'll be a time where we're online, live, Zoom, not like this, but Zoom, face-to-face. And I will be teaching you, okay, on a whiteboard. You will be learning. You will have homework. You will be making up goals, and I'm going to teach you how to do them quickly, okay, to where you don't even have to think about how to make a goal because you're that good. I love making goals. I love making goals from present levels, which is where they always should come from. And that means your evaluations and your assessments and everything needs to be up to date and recent, because you want the most recent present levels. You want them to be accurate and updated, you know, and you don't want something outdated 3 years ago like they do triennial evaluations. You want that yearly. You want to know where your child is right now. You don't want to know where they were 2.5 years ago. You want to know where they are now. So that's why I think it's so absurd to do triennial evaluations. I'm hoping to make change on that here in my state, because it's insane. Insane. Who the hell does that shit? I mean, you don't want to get me going, guys, but here's the thing. It's so stupid because, like I've said, kids change clothes more than every 3 years. They change clothes every year. Why? Because they grow. Their brain doesn't grow either? Of course it does. So why would I test my child every 3 years, let 3 years go by and waste because, oh, oops, my child regressed in 3 years. Maybe I should have tested them every year. I don't know. I hate that, guys. Don't do it. All right? Get your child tested every single year. Not, oh, we observed them and we checked out the information from the last evaluation. They're good to go. That's what I just read today. Oh, they're good to go. We observed them. They're fine. Don't do that. Have a full evaluation. All right? Do the, what is it, KTEA and the WISC or the Wyatt and get a full evaluation. Do the Vinland, and, you know, you want it to be thorough. The CTOP 2, you know, you just want to know your evaluations and then be able to pick and choose what's going to be appropriate for your child, where they're struggling and you know they're struggling, and to focus in that area. And then you're going to have really good present levels. And then you take those present levels and create really good, solid goals that challenge them, but they're still able to obtain. And so then they feel excited and they feel successful and they feel accomplished because they were able to master their goals. But then also, you know, it's something that you're going to feel good about because you know how those goals were written, where they came from, and that they were really and truly adequate. Okay? So that's what's coming up. I hope you enjoyed learning about the different areas, but, and I know that, you know, there's some positives and negatives to it. I know that, you know, sometimes it's not what everybody wants to hear, but, you know, sometimes some of the most important things are things that we don't want to hear. And I want you guys to have everything that your child needs, what they need, meaning where they're going to succeed and make progress. And so I want all of my parents, you know, here on the page and even more personally over in my group, I want them to know. So if anybody wants to share this over in my group, go ahead and do that. Don't be offended if I delete, if there's 50 of them and I keep one. But if you want to share this over in my group, that would be great. I would greatly appreciate it. And make sure to share this now, okay? Because at the end of the month, I'm going to be doing giveaways. And the giveaways will go to people who have shared when I go live, okay? So if you share, even once I'm off, then you will go into my great big pink hat that's over here. And you will win a gift card to Amazon or some other things that I have given away. Okay, so have a wonderful evening. I will see you guys over in the group tomorrow. Okay, and we will talk about all of your different questions. We will talk about some of the questions that have been asked and put online for me. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you soon. And if you need anything, I don't have my scheduler put up quite yet, okay? I have mediations and stuff like that this month, but I do have a couple spots available. So if you're needing an advocate, you're needing to get your IEP on point, PM me, and I will get back with you and we'll set up a call. Or if you're wanting to set up a free discovery call, PM me and we'll set up a call, okay? And I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.